What's up everyone, Criddle here, and you may have noticed when you first log into Monsters and Memories, your main chat window gets flooded with information from chat amongst players, combat happening around you, spells being cast, and the list goes on. This can be a bit overwhelming, and in fact, several people were asking about this during the stress test over the weekend. So in this video, we're going to go over chat filters and how to set them up to make things a bit easier for you to follow while playing. When you log in for the first time, all of your chat will go into the main window in the bottom left of your screen. From here, you can move this box around anywhere you like by left-clicking and holding inside the box. You can also make the chat window larger or smaller by dragging the corners. Alternatively, you can scale the window, which will also change the font size of the text on each tab, as well as the scroll buttons by right-clicking and choosing Scale Window. The chat window is always on top of other UI elements in the main screen, so be sure to place it so it does not cover up other important things like your ability bar, group window, or health bar. You can always reset the window by right-clicking anywhere inside the chat box and choosing Reset. If you somehow lose your chat window or any other UI element, you can reset them all to default by clicking on the M located in the bottom right corner or Escape and choose Reset UI. Also on this same menu is the chat settings button. Here you can change various aspects of the chat window like the opacity, which darkens the background, or font size to make things a bit easier to read. Finally, under chat settings are the colors tab. Here you can change the color of the various texts in the game and reset filters or colors to their default settings. Now that we have the window set up the way we want, let's take a look at the other options. Right-click anywhere inside of the chat window to open the options menu. The first option here is to open a new chat window, which appears in the bottom left of the screen where the main window was originally. You can then move this window around the same way you did before. Additionally, you can dock the window as a tab in any of your other windows. To do this, click and hold on the tab, then drag it to the window you wish to dock. You can continue to do this for as many tabs as you like. If you want to reorder the different tabs, you must remove them from the window by dragging the tab off and placing it anywhere else on the screen, then replacing the tabs in the order that you want. You can also rename a window or a tab by right-clicking and choosing Rename Tab. Finally, you can close a tab or window you have open by right-clicking and choosing Close Tab or Window. The main window is an exception and cannot be closed or renamed. Once you have your window where you want, you can then lock it in place by right-clicking and choosing Lock Move. The second option is to open the MUD window. This is its own separate element and cannot be docked in any other window, but you can move it around or resize it. It is also always on top of all other windows, including other chat windows. You can also disable the MUD window in the settings if you choose, and all interactions will appear in the main window on whatever tab you currently have selected. Next up is Always Type Here. This allows me to set where I type when I press enter on my keyboard. Even if you type in this location, the text may end up in another window depending on how you set your filters. For example, if I set my main window to have /say chat and another window as my Always Type Here, when I say hello, the text will show up in whatever window or windows have the say filter. Also notice the asterisk which appears here. This means the setting is active in this current window. The same goes for filters, which we'll get into in a moment. The final option before we get into filters is language. Here you can change the language your character speaks. Right now, this only seems to work in Say Chat, but who knows if they'll change that in the future. Now let's take a look at filters. First are the system filters. Under this category, we have error, which includes things like trying to scribe a spell in the wrong tab of your book, trying to open a locked door without the correct key, or trying to cast a spell or ability while you're already casting. Next is warning, which is similar to error, but this includes things like trying to cast a spell while out of mana. Information includes text that displays when you use certain commands like /time or /played. As for system, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that to be a message sent out by GMs to everyone on the server, like when they are shutting the game down for maintenance or to reboot. Help is when using the /help command, which displays a list of all the different commands available in the game. Who is for the /who command, and finally, hardcore is to show anything related to hardcore character leveling up. Moving on to chat, these are fairly self-explanatory and will filter out the chat you want or don't want in a window. To go into a bit more detail, say, emote, and roll are proximity-based around your character. Shout, OOC, and auction are zone-based and anyone within the same zone can see. And finally, tell, party, guild, and guild officer are all server-wide as long as you are part of the guild or group. The next filter is gameplay. Experience is shown in yellow if you defeat an enemy that is of the appropriate level to gain experience. Loot and coin shows items or coin you or your party members loot. Status displays things like when you eat or drink, change some of the settings like hide helm, or begin to rest or become tired. Faction displays if the enemy is defeated or completing a quest that has a change in faction, either positive or negative. Skill shows when you gain a point in a particular skill, be it combat or trade skill. As for action, I honestly have no clue what this displays, as emotes and mud commands are on their own filters, so if anyone knows, please let us know down in the comments below. And the last under gameplay is consider, which is what displays when you consider an NPC. The last set of filters are for combat, which will probably be the most used. These can be a bit confusing, so let's go through them. Under death, you have me, mine, NPCs, and players. For me would be when something happens directly to your character. Mine is when you cause something to happen, so for death, mine would be when you get the kill shot on an enemy. NPC is when the NPC dies, and players is when the player dies. Next is pet. This particular one displays when you change a pet's behavior like back, stay, or attack. For melee, we have hit and miss, which both work the same, but for when something is hit or when something is missed by an attack. For me, it would display when you are hit or missed directly, and mine is for when you hit or miss something else. For pet, NPC, and players, it is when they are hit or missed, not when they hit or miss something else. Under ability, for mine, pet, NPC, and player, these are all things with a cast bar that they cast. For mine, it's anything that you cast. For pets, it's anything that pet casts, and so on, which tells what someone is currently casting. Then you have ability beneficial, which are things like direct heals or cures when they land on a target. For me, these would be heals that land on your character which you did not cast. Mine would be heals that land on anyone, including yourself, that you did cast. Pet, NPC, and players are heals cast by them that land on anyone else other than you. Heal over time ticks are not included under ability beneficial, but the initial heal is if it has one, for example, the Druid touch spells. For abilities detrimental, it's the same as beneficial, but for anything that damages at the end of the cast. This would include direct damage spells only and not damage over time effects. Procs from weapons are also included under this filter if they damage the target. And finally, under ability detrimental, we have damage shield. For me, these are when you take damage from a damage shield, while mine is when you do damage with your damage shield to anyone else. NPCs and players are when they do damage to someone else with their damage shield. And the last combat filter is for buffs, which includes debuffs. Under apply, you have beneficial and detrimental. These are slightly different than abilities. For me, these are buffs or debuffs applied directly to you, including your own. Mine are buffs or debuffs applied to anyone else that you cast. For NPCs and players, these are buffs or debuffs applied to anything else cast by NPC or players. Currently, these are bugged, and beneficial NPCs is actually players, but I suspect that will be fixed at some point in the future. For fade, these work exactly the same as apply, but when the buff or debuff ends or fades. Ticks are the same but exclusive for damage over time and heal over time effects, or a spell like Amnesia for Enchanter, which will memory blur every 6 seconds. Anyway, I know that was a lot of information, but hopefully helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and follow for more. Also check out my Twitch stream where we'll be playing and chatting about Monsters and Memories as well as many other games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.